Hey everyone, it's Emily, and lately I've been really into collecting loose cartridges for the Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. In fact, the last convention I just went to, I picked up a handful of licensed Game Boy Color games from IPs I really enjoyed, as well as picking up a couple of loose Game Boy Advance games that I never owned physical copies for, and also buying back some other Game Boy Color games that I used to own. Now that my loose Game Boy collection has been expanding, I've been in need of some sort of storage place because most of these do not have the cardboard box, unfortunately. Only my copy of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past and Four Swords I have complete in box. Everything else is loose. I've been looking at various organizers and containers on Amazon and some other places to kind of figure out what is the best way for me to easily store all these so that they're, one, easily accessible whenever I want to just pull one of these out and pop them in, and also just offer a nice aesthetic way to display them, because originally I had a few of these just kind of stacked up on my shelves haphazardly behind me, and I really didn't want to just buy some sort of box to kind of hide them away in. So after scouring Amazon for quite a bit, I came up with a solution of this particular tea organizer that provides both form and function when it comes to storing all these loose game cards. So I'm going in a bit blind here because I haven't actually seen anyone use this particular tea organizer for this purpose, but I'm hoping it turns out as I kind of envision it displaying on my shelf behind me, and I'll kind of go through all of the loose cards I have and how they exactly fit in this tea organizer. So you see here, I have this box by Mind Reader. That just happens to be the company that made this particular tea box. And there's this big old Amazon sticker on here. So I guess that's kind of what they're doing. If something comes in a box already, Amazon just slaps a sticker on it and then sends it to you. But let's open this up. And hopefully the instructions and all will be fairly simple. And let's see, there's some nice styrofoam in here, which is a good sign. And it looks like it's basically pre-assembled, which is also nice to see. So there are plenty of different tea organizers and just other sort of compartment organizers on Amazon, because most tea bags are basically the size of your typical Game Boy and Game Boy Color cart. And so I wanted something black to match my shelves because I have a spot back there. I think it'll go perfectly. And so far, so good. I'm going to take out the styrofoam here. And when it comes to dimensions, I also had to be really conscious about how tall it was, because place on my shelf is only about 10 inches tall. And so I needed to find an organizer about that same height, and also make sure it's not too wide or deep, just so that it fits on my shelf nicely. But let's get these little zip ties out of the way, and then we can check to see how well these actually fit the games that I have here. So there are 5 different drawers, and the top 4 ones are where I want to put all of the Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. So let's put this on without tipping. It looks like there's some more places in the back here. That's where I guess it stops the drawer. So let me get rid of these zip ties just so that everything's all functioning. And what was also nice about this particular compartment or organizer is it wasn't too expensive. I think brand new, it was around $30, but I was able to get this in one of those Amazon warehouse deals. So it was, I think, an open box, but unused, for about $16. So always, I would say, shop around in the warehouse used section whenever possible on Amazon. You can sometimes get really good deals. Yep, and it's a little bit dirty on the side here, which is all right. I've probably just cleaned that up a bit because it's not that big of a deal. But overall, this is exactly what I had envisioned. And it has this little mind reader logo. I wonder if I could just pop it off. If not, I'll probably just put some sort of sticker to cover it up, because mind reader does not mean much to me in terms of Game Boy games. Now, as we look at each of these drawers here, I'm going to pop one out. They are a little bit bigger than your typical Game Boy games, but if you stack them up here, it looks like they're going to fit nicely and just have some wiggle room. Because of the wiggle room, I thought it would be really nice to actually use some of these protective cases as a way to kind of keep the dust out of the cartridge, because this is not an enclosed organizer. It's all the wire mesh. So dust will definitely get through here. And yeah, it's nice and still kind of loose, which honestly is kind of my preference, because it's not wide enough where it's going to fall down on the side, but it gives you some wiggle room if you want to sort through a bunch of games all at once. And you could have this protective case on it, or you could also leave it without, I think, pretty easily. And this could fit a lot of different games. I obviously don't have a lot of games, but let's see how deep it could potentially go. So these are all of my larger cartridges. So here we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 games, and it looks like it could fit maybe 10 more. I just have these Game Boy Advance games. So this is additional 4, if we were to put that in the back, just for size comparison. And yeah, I think easily this could fit 6 more games. So this will have a lot of room for expansion. And you could always put, I think, something in the back if you don't have enough games to fill it up right away. So these 4 different drawers are where I intend to put my Game Boy Color and Game Boy games. And I think the bottom drawer, I'm kind of torn. If I want to put the Game Boy Advance games kind of lined up together, because let's see, I think it should fit, yeah, 2 across and then have lots of wiggle room. So this might be a little bit less organized. You could always just kind of loosely put them in there. And I actually have quite a number of loose manuals from my childhood. And I think it'll also be kind of nice if I ever stumble across any to kind of add them maybe on this bottom shelf here. So I have the Pokemon Trainer's Guide from my copy of Pokemon Yellow back in the day. Unfortunately, the front cover of my Pokemon Silver manual came off. I don't know what happened to it, but I do have the rest of the contents here. And then I have the Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages manual. For some reason, the Seasons one is missing. I also have Metroid Fusion and Super Mario Bros. Deluxe and some of the other just Game Boy Advance, stuff and Game Boy stuff they had before. Oh, it looks like I also have this Hot Wheels Stunt Racer Driver game as well, and the Spy Hunter instruction manual. And for some reason, Brain Age 2 for the DS is in the stack, but I think this would be, a nice place to house all of these. And kind of keep them tidy so that they don't get any more kind of wear and tear. So they're nice and contained down there. And if ever I wanted to flip through them, they're just right under all of my loose Game Boy games. So now I'm going to share what it looks like over on my shelf and kind of the vision I have for my little Game Boy section. Because of course, there's a ton of empty space in this tea organizer at the moment, but the Game Boy systems have so many different games that I'm interested in that I can either pick up super cheaply or also kind of maybe invest in some of the heavy hitters that are a little bit more expensive, but they're still not super pricey overall in the grand scheme of things when you just buy them loose on the cart. So here's how it all turned out on the side of my shelf. You'll see that I've housed all of my Game Boy stuff next to my PS Vita collection. And I don't think my Vita collection is going to grow anytime soon, so I'm pretty confident that those are the Vita games I'll have, and I have plenty of room now to expand my Game Boy collection. So here is how all the manuals work, and the drawer is very easy to pull in and out and just flip through all the manuals I have. And I decided actually to put my taller Game Boy and Game Boy Color games in the middle row. just because it's a little bit more eye level to me. Where the shelf is positioned, and it's just a little bit easier. And you'll see how I'm able to fill it in the back temporarily so that the games are still standing up. And my Game Boy Advance games are on the top because, again, just how I'm standing eye level, I'm able to just kind of see what they look like in the window there. And it just kind of worked out a little bit better for the height of the shelf. And this is my original Game Boy Advance, my Analog Pocket, and my Game Boy Color back there. I need to come up with, I think, a better way to display all these. Right now, I just have a temporary box here, but my plan is just to have 3 of my handhelds here right next to my organizer of all the loose games. But overall, I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I think it fits the rest of my shelving here. And it's nice to have a more kind of utility area that I can just shuffle through some games and have some of them displayed out in the open. Again, have a nice kind of dedicated shelf for all my Game Boy stuff, because before it was all very intermingled with my other handheld devices and got a little lost there. But now I've already been popping a few of these in on my Analog Pocket and getting more use out of that handheld I got a while ago. But I'm really excited to continue expanding on this collection and seeing where it goes. And I'm going to take a moment to thank all of my channel members. I really appreciate all of your support, and a special shout out to my Orbment architects, Dr. God and Calix. Thank you so much. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little video of me organizing all of my loose Game Boy system games and kind of what that little section on my shelf looks like now. And let me know how you like to store all of your loose Game Boy games. Do you have some sort of organizer, like a tea bag organizer like I used? Or do you like to just usually stick them in a box or have a different way of displaying them? I'd love to know. And until my next video, bye guys.